Wait for this next guy. Look at these guys, man.
Oh, formation, man.
That's unbelievable.
You believe that? One little hiccup and you got a problem.
Yeah, right. What a view. Okay, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a very special treat for you today on the HammondCast show on KYOU Radio. I'm sitting here with one of my all-time heroes. He's a good friend of mine and all the accordionists around the world. I'm here with Dick Contino. How you doing, Dick? It's great to have you back in San Francisco.
Thanks, John. I tell you, wow, man. I have so many thoughts and memories, even like before the Horace show, because I take my music lessons here, you know, from Angelo Cagnazzo on Haight Street, just off of Van Ness. And I went to the High School of Commerce when it was, you know, for a short time while I was taking my accordion lessons. I go way back then. And since the Horace thing, and so many things have happened to me in this town, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, nobody thinks of Fresno as a place where a worldwide star will come out of, but you were discovered on Horace Hyde. He had a radio show, or was it a TV show? It was radio, right?
Before television, John.
So you killed in the competition, right?
Yeah, the lines cross, you know. It's like a poet once said, nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things where all the forces seemed to come together, John. And I was in the right place, right time, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And, you know, it was one of those things. I went on, I won, I kept winning, and it was that kind of a wonderful thing where what made it work, John, I'll be honest with you, what made it work is the fact that, I'm not trying to be falsely humble, that I really mean this, is that I've always enjoyed the character. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like I've ever become the character. And that's what made it work, I think, because it's something I truly, not trying to be, you know, impress anybody falsely, but I truly believe that when I can consider myself just as much of an instrument as the accordion itself, and let the ideas come from the consciousness, you know, just pure, and just wait for it to come through and see what I might do to interpret whatever, but that's the thing that I think has always made it work, John.
Yeah, well, your show has always been electrifying. You took the instrument that a lot of people had a timid approach to it, and you just got up there, and the way you do those bellow shakes knocks everybody out.
Well, you know what it is there too.
You really emote, you know, so much emotion in your playing, you know, people
John.
feel that, you know.
Well, I try to, you know, when I talk to people, players and students, whatever, I try to emphasize that, you know. I don't truly know how much I love the accordion per se as an instrument, as opposed to an instrument through which I can express my emotions. And so that's why, John, I've never played anybody else's arrangements. Mm-hmm. I've learned the basic theory and harmony, you know, just basic. I like learning the English language sufficiently to say something. And from Angelo Cagnazzo here in San Francisco, in 1945, 46. And with that, John, I'm able to express, and so I would use different things that would come to me. Now, artistically speaking, you know, some of the things I do, to be really honest with you, like in the English language, let's say, for example, maybe I may not speak so eloquently as far as you know, lavishing with words and profound. But with whatever knowledge I seem to have about the language, I find myself expressing what I want to say, and as opposed to watch how I can play this instrument and impress you with my technique, you know, and that type of thing.
Well, you've always connected with the public, and you know, since when from the time that Horace Hyde discovered you, he took you out on the road. He took you to Iowa. You went to Ohio, which is very fertile accordion land there. They love the accordion in
really
Ohio.
did. I think too, John, what made it work was truthfully, with the many accordionists today, like I just did the International Accordion Convention in Vegas, and been to New York, you know, they were talking about...
That's a nice annual event, by the way.
Yeah, you know, and you see these, like when I went to Russia, the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yeah.
There are people there, there are players there that can play seemingly flawlessly, but so can a computer. So I've always tried to advocate it's not what you play, it's how you play it. Not what
Right.
you say, how you say it. And I think that's the reason why over there, it just so happened the audience is like 15,000 people a night at Gorky Park, Moscow
Wow.
Symphony Orchestra, with Ed Sullivan and
Yeah.
other acts on the show. He had me closing not only the first half, John, but the second half as well. Because of the relationship with the crowd. Well, you can never do that just showing what you know intellectually.
Right.
And so it was one of those things where I've been very blessed in the sense that I've been find myself being able to express feelings that go beyond just the technique. Again, not what you play, how you play it.
Well, man, you were one of the first musical ambassadors and diplomats. I mean, we're talking about musical diplomacy times 1,000. I mean, you went over there and you melted the people. I mean, when Mr. Sullivan called you up, you told me a long time ago, you said he was one of the first guys that called you Richard, right?
Yeah, he never called me Dick. He always say, he'd call me up and say, Richard, give me a showstopper. And so in those days, it was live, And that gave you a great rush because today, most shows aren't live,
Right.
And but then you knew when that light went on, they were watching you clear across the country. And it was like walking a tightrope without a net, But sometimes, in fact, Ray Block, Sullivan, he'd always put me where he thought maybe there was a lull, in his lineup, figuring, well, I'd come out with a powerful number. And sometimes maybe the show was running a little bit along, and I'd be waiting in the wings, John, and the stage manager would say, you gotta cut 30 seconds. So I talked to Ray Block. He says, don't repeat letter C or D. So now you got to think not only what you're doing, but don't repeat certain letters or whatever to fit in with the time when it's done live.
It'll keep you on your toes, huh?
Yeah. So that was a great.
Yeah, Dick. Well, it's so great that you did that, before so many cats went over there. I've been fortunate to be over in Moscow myself. I went there and played a couple of shows, and the feeling you get from the people over there is incredible,
Yeah.
And, you go everywhere in the world, you can always find people that speak English, but when you go to Russia, they're not really speaking English over there. You're in a different part of the world, but they love the accordion. They love American music because they listen so much to the Voice of America.
When I went there in the 60s, John, it was the height of the Cold War.
Right.
But yet there were no political demonstrations.
Isn't that something?
I mean, how music can transcend that. And here we had like maybe 15,000 people a night, something like that. It was always packed, jam-packed. And, it was... and yet there were everything. They just loved it. And
well, you won so many people over, and I think that's one of the greatest acts of, national patriotism. When you take the music over there like that, and you made history, and so that's really a fantastic thing. But then, with the music business, there's no business like the music business. It goes up and it comes down. But, you blazed a way into everybody's hearts, but then, you came from Fresno onto the world stage on 48 times on the Ed Sullivan Show, but then you got discovered by Hollywood and you did this movie Daddy-O in 1958, man. That was a whole new thing for you then, right?
Turned out to be kind of a cult thing.
Yeah, right.
Like James Elroy, the great writer, of L.A. Confidential and Black Dahlia. Fact fiction writer. I was the only person that he had written about alive. All of his characters in his books are either fictitious and or dead. And it was a great experience too because he did a book called Out of the Past. No, it was Dick Contino's Blues. In fact, it's in the bookstores now. Of a book called Hollywood Nocturnes. It's a lead-off story, Dick Contino's Blues. And it mixes fact with fiction, but he was inspired because of the movie Daddy-O.
Wow.
See, John, when I did that movie, a guy named Howard Burns came to me and said, there's a producer by the name of Elmer Roden, he's putting together a movie like 100,000. Back then was pretty good. We're going back to 1955 or 6. He says, and all they can give you is $1,000. I said, geez, I'd do it for nothing. To be Daddy-O,
Yeah, man.
But somehow it was the right time. It was like the setting was right. The acting was whatever it was.
Wow.
And, we had to finish it with a home camera because the budget ran out of money.
Really?
Yeah, and
That's incredible.
Yeah, and yes.
So they shot some of it on 16 millimeter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whatever, John. And so it became like a cult thing.
It's
now.
a cult movie.
Yeah,
well, I want to check that out. Because I know that you could probably see it now on video, and so everybody out there, be sure and check out Dick Contino and Daddy-O.
Yeah, or you
and
know,
how many movies have you been in altogether?
Well, now? Back then, John, I did. I did a lot of. I didn't think of myself as an actor. I've never really thought of myself as being in show business. I mean, the whole mishbook, the whole thing, the whole. I've never thought about it that way. Just everybody said. One day somebody says, "You're in show business," or hey, you're an actor, and I'm going, "Really? Is that kind of thing?" Because I found myself like with Mamie Van Doren and Girls Town and Beat Generation with Mel Torme and Mamie and and Daddy-O and Night Song.
My mom went to high school with Mel Torme and Steve Allen.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We're from Chicago.
Yeah. Oh no, Mel is a good friend of mine. Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. Great talent.
He was the greatest.
Yeah, I love Mel. And so in fact, in the movie. Was it Night Song or Big Night, Girls Town or something? We did Beat Generation. Well, he has the other gang, and here's Mel. He's built a little smaller than me, but he's kicking the hell out of me. You know what I mean? That's the way the script wrote it, and so it was great.
That's beautiful. So I asked you, when I met you originally up in Cataria, I said, Dick, you're one of the greatest accordionists in the world. You blew the roof off the whole scene. So all the musicians out there, they want to know what your practice routine is. Are you practicing a lot these days?
No, it's like if somebody were to say to me, "Do you practice the English language?" I say, "No, I just enjoy speaking it." You know what I mean? And again, you know what I mean, John. It's the reason I don't is because. I've written all my own arrangements, and so I don't memorize notes.
Mm-hmm.
I think of chord structure, and so I'll revert mostly to the way I've always played it. But if I find there's a little something I want to change here or there, I don't hesitate because I don't memorize, And so I just just pick it up and it seems I'll never come out as an opening number and do a very dramatic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually come out with something rhythmic and easy, and that's my way of warming up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys will play scales before they go on. But like I say too, John, is that if I make a mistake, I find it challenging because I like to depend on my reflexes that way, where if I make one, I might find myself repeating it so I can make them wonder if was that intentional. Or I'll just simply call it the beauty of imperfection. The thing about life itself. I think if life itself was so perfect, we'd be terribly bored. I don't advocate mishaps,
right.
But I mean, as a rule, to improvise with life itself and how you deal with this is the same as playing the accordion. So when I don't give it too much concern, I find that I'm playing easier, more dynamically, because I'm not trying to play dramatically according to the scripture, according to the manuscript. And so that's basically why I've tried practicing. I really thought I was kind of weird with this until in fact, not too long ago, I heard Larry King was interviewing Ringo Starr. And at one point he said, I guess you practice a lot. He says, no, I don't. He says, but I consider when I perform a sense of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, well, that's interesting because I've always felt like that. And to hear somebody say that, it was nice.
Well, that's a beautiful philosophy you have about how you bring the music to the people and how your life is like when the imperfection of the mistake is, and how you bring that into being the next thing.
Don't worry about it, because not that I advocate mistakes,
right?
But just relax. I try to tell people, just relax.
It's a human thing,
It's a human thing.
So we're not machines after all, right?
And to show the imperfection, it is beautiful. It's,
right.
It's nice, like a stream with rocks in it, or not that you set out to make mistakes. But just try to relax more. I try to tell more people, more accordionists, don't play like it's something out here. Find out. One time, I told this kid, he says, my two idols, a showman and musician, are Liberace and Dick Contino. And I said, well, I appreciate you saying that. But I said, well, I'm going to give you some advice. I says, I want you to, for the next 3 months, if you'll do it, I says, I want you to practice without the accordion. And he says, what do you mean? I says, I just want you to do nothing but contemplate, meditate on who you are. who you are. And once you come to realize what you're all about, your hurts, your ups, your downs, your emotional here and there, now see if you could put that into something that could be in the simplest form. You know, I went back to the International Accordion. No, you know, the thing with we were talking about Pino.
What, up in Katati?
No, back in New York.
Oh, in New York, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name?
Angelo Di Pippo, yeah.
No, not Di Pippo, the other guy. I was thinking of somebody, who was in charge of the Accordion Association of America. So they gave they gave me I can't think of his name, Pino, but I'm sorry.
I know Eddie Montero. You know Eddie?
Yeah.
He's a wild guy, huh?
Yeah. So I went back there, you know, and they wanted to give me a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah.
And so naturally, I had to get up and play. Well, I did whatever I do, you know.
Uh-huh.
But it's strange because one of my peers, I forget his name, you know, he told somebody, he says, you know, when he played the first 2 bars of Poor Butterfly, he said I became his biggest fan. Meaning that, you know, it's the pathos. I remember when I was on the Horror Side show, John, I had won like 13, 14 contests. There was a guitar player, a very renowned guitar player back then, working a lot in Hollywood, named Frankie Saputo.
Oh, yeah.
And we roomed together, you know, at the time, and I'll never forget it, you know, because here I was like 18 years old. I just turned 18, and he says, kid, he says, you're really good at what you do. You're great. He says, but someday, he says, you're going to really be great when you come to play with pathos. And I says, what do you mean, Frankie? He says, that's a Greek word meaning soul. When you began to put your experiences emotionally into your music, not that you're going to be a ham, you know what I mean?
Right.
But just to feel that when you play something, you know, and you feel the soulful of it. Now, so what comes across, they don't really separate it from the music itself. It's part of the passion. It's the passion. The way you're playing, it could be a great passage, or it could be something simple. Mm-hmm. But you're expressing your emotions. And see, like I've seen, in fact, some of these contests they have with accordions, the judges are studying the manuscript. They're not even looking at the performer.
Right.
To see if they're playing, how well they play the sforzando, accelerando, maestoso, blah, blah, blah. And instead of saying, what are you all about? What are you all about?
Right.
You know? I mean...
That's beautiful, Dick.
Yeah, John.
You've been a big inspiration to me for a long time, and
yeah, thank you,
I try to bring some of your concepts and philosophies into the music, and you know, I've been fortunate. The music has taken me around the world a few times.
Yeah,
you know?
I know it has. Yeah, I know it has.
So, you know, I'm always looking for you in the airport. You know, and when you get down to Las Vegas, you know. That's where you're living these days in Las Vegas,
you know,
right?
I haven't played there in years. Joe, mm-hmm. I did the San Gennaro Festa this year, but I haven't because Vegas is like see, I'm of course male, and I refer to it sometimes like the female, you know, in the sense that she's very fickle. Mm-hmm. She's very fickle. She very seldom falls in love, and but that's Vegas, and she's entitled to it. And so by that I mean it changes constantly.
It's a good place to live. You like the climate
you know,
and everything?
Yeah, the climate's nice. You know, I have no reason, John, to want to, you know, get stressed out and move for the sake of moving. But if something attracts me, that's the way I've always been. If something attracts me somewhere else, I'd go with it. But it's nice. I don't think I'd want to live out east, you know, with the winters, and even in Florida with the humidity and hurricanes and everything like that. But it's good. I'm a West Coast guy, you know. I was born and raised out here in California.
Well, I've always loved to see how you connected with your fans. When you come and do a show, you stay and you sign the last autograph. You sign everything that everybody wants to sign, and you spend time with everybody. Yeah. And everybody's crazy about you, man. You know.
Well, it's a two-way street because my first love truly is people. Mm-hmm. I'd say secondly music and the accordion because, but I mean I truly love people. I mean I'm one of those guys where if somebody were to say, let's go to San Francisco, and I want to show you this room where you look out your window and you can see Alcatraz and you can see the whole bay with little boats and this and that and Coit Tower and blah, blah, blah. I say, I wouldn't go, if you paid me $10,000, I wouldn't go just to do that. But if I'm here and I open up the shade and I see scenery, I'll appreciate it like anybody else, you know. Yeah. But my great love is people. It's people. And if it takes me to where I see difference. Like my son took me to Sicily when I was 70
And he's a musician too, by the way,
yeah,
right?
Plays accordion, plays accordion, well, drums.
Yeah.
And so
I see him on MySpace. Sometimes we have some emails
he's
back.
great. I love him. He's got his
yeah.
own style.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we couldn't be any closer than we are.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I say that is because he doesn't even try to play what I play. He plays like Zydeco, New Orleans type things. He's got his own group and he sings. He's got a great style. Best kid in the world. I say kid. He's 45 years old. Yeah.
Well, man, you look fantastic, Dick. You're always got a great spirit and full of energy, and you hang right. You can out hang anybody, So I'm sure you can out hang your son too, man. But I want to let the folks know that you got a lot of recordings out there, and so you got some records on the market right now.
Yeah, if they were to check, how do they do that, John? Like DickContino.com.
Yeah.
Yeah,
DickContino.com, everybody.
Yeah, and then you can see where.
And your brother gets back to a lot of the people too, and
it's my wife.
Oh, that's your wife. But
my brother's he sells a few. He does it on his own. I don't object to it.
I had a few emails with him a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
he's a nice guy.
My brother
Pete.
Yeah, so he's his name's Pete. My son's name is Pete because my dad. Named after my dad.
Right.
And so that's But mainly, if you go to DickContino.com, it'll show where Tanya Contino, my wife, she's got like all these CDs.
So you're very accessible.
Yeah.
And everybody knows you, but don't be afraid to contact Dick because you're a people guy,
Yeah, thanks,
and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on our radio show.
I want to thank you for taking the time to come all the way.
Oh man, we're gonna play your music.
I talked to you a while ago. You were in Oakland, man.
Yeah.
I'll be coming there.
I put the hammer down, man. You can probably hear the airplanes in the background. The Blue Angels are practicing right outside the window here. We got a beautiful view.
They can't mess with the beauty of imperfection. These guys.
4 airplanes just came by. It looked like one airplane.
Maybe somebody gets a hiccup or something. You know what I mean? Could be a problem. But I wouldn't rely on the beauty of imperfection there.
Yeah, man.
Those guys got to be pretty perfect.
Well, there's some beautiful pilots. They've taken you around the world, and I get to fly sometimes. So, I want to thank you for all you've done for the accordion, for the people, for the community of accordionists is really pretty tight, It's a small scene. Once you get in the accordion scene, people who can't even speak English, I mean, they love the accordion even more over in Eastern Europe and Russia, China, and it's really making a big comeback. So here you coming around one more time, man, and you just keep giving it to them. You always give the people more than their money's worth, So I know you got a big show tonight here in San Francisco. I don't want to use up too much of your time, but before we get out of here, Dick, our radio station is the broadcast home of the Oakland A's baseball team. And it's called KYOU Radio, where we do it all for you. So before we get out of here, Dick, what have you got to say to our listeners on KYOU?
Gosh, I might sound corny. I can't think of anything that I have prepared for anything, but you can't forget it. KU. How do you even say something unusual about YOU? Why? I don't know without sounding corny, but it's easy to remember, and I love it.
You're the best, Dick. Oh, man, you're beautiful, man. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for your time and your music.
Thanks for coming out, John. I appreciate it. Yeah, I really do, man.
All right, knock 'em dead tonight.
Okay.
All right.